In this video, I'm going to show you how to paint an orc using contrast paint, some metallics, really quickly. First off, I really want to talk you through the priming of the model. So we primed it with grey cere, and then I've put Corax white over the top. You can see I've been testing the skin. I had an idea and it actually works really well. So we're going to paint the majority of this with contrast paints, some washes, we're going to use some metallics. But apart from that, we want to get these orcs on the table as quick as possible, looking as good as possible. You may have hundreds of them, you may have a small amount. So let's get going. First thing we're going to do is we're going to paint the skin, and for that we're going to use Plaguebearer contrast paint. So I'm going to show you here on the arm, just painted all over all the flesh bits. And what we're doing on this one, we're actually going to work light to dark. So we're going to do all the light colours first and then the dark colours after. So get that painted on. You don't want it to pool too much. So if it pools, then just clear your brush off and get in there and wick it away. Because whilst we want this to provide our kind of pre-shading, that's the kind of effect we're going for. We don't want to saturate it with the Plaguebearer Flesh. So I'm going to do the rest of this arm, I'm going to do the head, we'll come back and we'll get that finished. Make sure that Plaguebearer Flesh is nice and dry. And then the next thing we're going to do for the skin, just to finish it off, is going to take some Biel-Tan Green shade. We're just going to paint this all over the skin. And this, straight away you can see it's giving it that really nice green hue. Now, it's really important that we don't let this settle too much and stain like that. So we just want to move it around as much as we can. So we've got the arm, the hand, obviously we've got the face as well. So just work it around. That's the kind of effect you're looking for. When that dries, it'll look like that, which is a really nice quick way of doing orc skin. And if you're doing hundreds of orcs, boys, whatever it may be, this is so easy. Okay, so let that dry, finish off the rest of it, we'll come back, we'll make a start on some of the clothing. Next up, I'm going to try and do the leather bits next, and I'm going to use Snakebite Leather contrast paint for this. So I'm just going to paint all the straps. So that Biel-Tan Green is still a little bit wet, so whilst I am going to paint those leather bits of strap on his hand, I'm probably going to wait for that to dry a little more. But what I will do in the meantime, again, I'm painting with contrast paints probably a very similar way to the way I paint with normal layer paints. I'm not just smashing it on because I want a specific effect. I don't want it to dry really blotchy and look really untidy. So the only thing I'm really deliberately trying to do is make sure that I don't get it over the green. The reason you paint from, or I'm painting light to dark on this particular model, is so that any mistakes, any things I go over, like I'm going over there with some of the strapping, it's okay because the darker colours coming behind will kind of cover up that little mistake. So I'm going to go off, finish the rest of the leather straps. I think I'll do the gun holster in leather as well, and I'll come back and we move on to the next stage. Next up, I want to bring a little bit of colour in, so I'm going to use Blood Angel's Red, and I'm going to pop this on the loin cloth here. Really important with Blood Angel's Red that you do put a good healthy amount on, because what I find is that when it dries, as the kind of capillary action from the paint starts to work, it kind of pulls apart, and this is perhaps the worst contrast paint for leaving spots maybe. So let's work that on there. Don't forget to do the underside, which should be nice and straightforward. Oops. Don't worry too much of the fact that I've kind of got it on those other bits, because I'm going to be going in there with darker colours. I was going to use this for accents as well, so I really like the idea of this kind of strap matching all the kind of red material. And you can reuse this colour as an opportunity to put the same colour as your particular orc clan. If you've got blue or yellow, you can pop that in here just to get the accents on there. So you can see there I've made a mistake and I've popped some red on the green skin. So all I've done, clean my brush, wipe it away. simple. So I'm going to do the shoulder pads as well. I'll let that dry, we'll come back and we'll start to move on to other parts of the clothing. And we're not too far from the metallics, and you can see this is coming together really quickly. It'll be finished in no time at all. As that red cloth is drying, I'm going to move on to the trousers, and for this I'm going to use Wyldwood contrast paint. So with the trousers, they're quite big areas, so you want to use a decent amount of paint. Just make sure you don't let it pool too much. You see they're working on, then let the contrast paint do its magic. Start to pull into those bits that create the lights and the shadows. Just work around anything that you want to be that kind of dark brown. Again, be really careful not to spill onto some of the lighter colours you may have already painted. So I'll finish off the rest of these trousers, let it dry, and then we've probably just got the black to do with contrast, and then we'll skip on to the metallics, and then we'll probably just do the teeth last. Perhaps we'll probably use contrast for the teeth as well. So I'll finish this, let it dry, and we'll come back and we'll get on to the black next. So the last contrast colour I'm going to use is Black Templar, so I'm going to use this for the boots. So I'll just work this on nice and thick, and it'll dry and give you the shadow and highlight again. So all parts of the boots, just work it across, nice and simple. Really happy with how quick this Ork's coming together. You know, if you're batch painting them, you could probably get through, oh I don't know, put my neck on the line, maybe 20, 30 of them a day. Doing it this way, maybe more if you were just dedicated and you weren't doing anything else for the rest of the day. Really, really effective way of batch painting your army. So as well as finishing the boots off, just kind of down here, don't worry if you get, I'm going to put the metal on the steel toe caps. We've also got the kind of the undervest as well, which is I always consider it's kind of like a dark black leather, because it just provides a little bit of variation in the colour tone of the clothing that the Orks wear, and it also strikes me as being a little bit more rigid as well. So I'm just going to work around the black parts there. So once that's done, we'll let that all dry. We'll see how it is. If we need to make any changes, we will. Otherwise, I think we'll go on to the metallics next. So I'm going to let that Black Templar dry, and what I'm going to do is take some iron hand steel. I'm going to start to fill out some of the metallic parts now, and this will start to really bring the model together. Just be careful not to get any metal obviously on anything that you've already finished. Nice and simple, straightforward like that. Same on the kind of toe caps of the boots. Nice and easy. And we've also got the big axe, the big chopper. So what I'd say is I'm probably going to use this and some Balthazar Gold. So just share out the colouring across the big chopper. You'll see what I mean in a mo. So I'm just going to go through all the bits you want to be silver, paint them silver, and then we'll come back once I've done that, and we'll add the Balthazar Gold before we give everything a nice uniform wash. You can just see there some of the wires. So I've just used the Biel-Tan Green on that lower wire, and I've used the Blood Angel's red contrast on that upper wire. Nice and simple. So I finished up with the iron hand steel for the silver, and then I'm just going to add some Balthazar Gold, because this just gives a nice variation on the metallics. So I'm just going to work this around kind of the handles, and you know, you don't have to follow what I'm doing. If you want to do everything silver, then you can. Next door's dog's getting excited about something. So just work your way around with this, all the bits that you think will benefit from being that slightly different Balthazar Gold colour. Then we'll come back, we'll give it a wash, quick highlight, and we're pretty much there with this orc. Like I said, if you batch painting these, it should be going really quick for you. So just finish the rest of this gold off cam, and we'll come back and darken it up a little bit. Variation on there. I'm just going to take some Nuln Oil, and this is going to go all over all the metals. So I'm going to be quite liberal with this, especially at the top of the axe. Make sure it doesn't pool anywhere. You can see I'm painting over the kind of bits of cabling as well, so everything gets a little bit of a shade. So this is a really easy stage. You don't need to watch me do this for too long, unless you really like watching me plaster Nuln Oil over metal. That's fine. No judgments this end. I appreciate everybody's support. So I squish around all the metallics, and you know what, I'm going to pop a little bit over that red as well, because I think it just needs a little bit of depth to it. So there we are. Work your way around, get it all covered, and make sure it is dry before you even think about going anywhere near it. So like I've said, we're pretty much there now. So we've got the teeth and the nails to do, and I'll show you how to do them pretty soon. But one thing I want to do, this is a totally optional step if you don't want to do it. I'm just going to take some chrome from Vallejo Model Air. I'm just going to use this to kind of highlight some of the metallics there, just to add a nice kind of change in tone. Where you've got sharp edges like on the back of the axe here, you can just use the shape of the model to get a nice edge highlight. And we're going to do the same on the kind of the Balthazar Gold as well. So work your way around the model. You can do as much or as little as you want with this, because it does take a little bit of time. It's not a huge amount of time, just a little bit of time. So, you know, maybe just focus on those big areas where you've got a bit of haft. I just like to go down like that on the kind of some of the plated armour as well. Just want to take an edge highlight for where the armour's most reflective, like that. It just adds that little bit extra to the model. So we painted this in mainly contrast, almost 100% contrast, so it is nice to kind of take that sharper highlight just to make the model look that little bit better, in my opinion anyway. Like I said, if you're doing hundreds of boyz, you might think, do you know what, I'm not going to bother highlighting the metal. That's absolutely fine. You know, there are other parts of this that you could highlight if you really wanted to. Like I said, we've done mainly contrast. If you want to take it to the next level, you can add an extra layer of paint to things like the skin and to the edges of the arm panels, just to make it, you know, that little bit more interesting, that little bit more exciting. So there we are. I'm going to finish off doing this across the model. I'll probably do most of it just because I want you guys to see what it looks like if you do it all, and then we'll come back together and finish off the teeth and nails, and this awkward contrast is complete. I finished that highlighting and I've done most of the model. So for the teeth, really easy, a little bit of skeleton horde. We're just painting that in over those teeth, just like that, nice and easy. If you need to go back and pop the grey sear back or the Corax white back, then you can. And the last colour I'm going to use for the nails is Stegadon Scale Blue, and all I'm going to do with that, like I did with the teeth, is I'm just going to paint it onto the nails, just like that. We've only got a few bits of the nails, they're not too many, so we got them there, and then we just got a little bit under there. And then this orc with contrast paint is done. Base him to match the rest of your army. I'm just going to paint the base black so we can kind of get the idea of the contrast and the way to go. If you do want to paint the eyes, then maybe just take some Evil Sun Scarlet and just dot dot the I's in there, but I'm really happy with that. Really quick job. It looks fantastic. So there we have it. This Ork Nob is ready for action. If you've got lots and lots of orcs that you need getting painted and on the tabletop in no time at all, I really hope this video has given you some inspiration. If you have, please leave a like and a comment down below. I try and respond to everything. It really does help me improve the content I do. I really appreciate all the interactions with you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out the links to my recommended equipment down below, and you can also get 20% off any Warhammer from Goblin Gaming. Just check the link in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.